Hey everybody! Apparently I'm sitting here and I totally forgot to start the stream, so
Yeah,
welcome!
the start then was literally, Matt, you haven't started it. Whoa.
Oh dear, how is everybody? Are you alright now?
I'm good. As many may have noticed, I'm not JD.
No.
No, yeah, well, I'm here instead of JD tonight.
Excellent. Right, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? Come on, tell us.
Oh, Sherman Hill.
Yeah.
We're looking at Sherman Hill tonight, aren't we? So, go on.
I was just going to say, for those wondering where JD is, he's fine. He'd had just had a
He's had a
busy day
long
and a
old
long
day.
drive home from the office,
He's had a
and
long old
I'm
day.
I'm in his place.
I saw him as just, it was because he was in the office just down the end there, and yeah, he looked like he was definitely looking forward to a long drive home.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was good. It was high on his wish list. So
So instead of delay in the stream, we've got me instead.
exactly.
So excellent. So yeah, what are we doing tonight, Matt?
We are going to take a look at Sherman Hill, and we're going to preface this with a couple of things. The first thing is we're losing PlayStation. This is PS5. And secondly, this is not final build. It's near final. So
Yep.
for the safest sake, for everyone being completely, clear of what is and isn't, why don't you go ahead and assume this is final?
Okay.
There is probably going to be one more build tonight, and there are some fixes in there, but I don't exactly know what that list is because the team have been working like blazes today.
Yeah.
Rather than create any williness about it, this is we just
Assume this is what you're going to be
assume
get.
this is what you're going to get essentially, because it won't be that far off this. So, and this is sorry, because it's not final build. I think this might be a shipping build, dev build. I don't know. I'm still a bit new to putting builds on the PlayStation, and honestly, I put the files in the right place. I'm not sure what they were. I know whether I'm putting a dev build of Xbox build on or not, but I've put a build. It's so
That's really reassuring to hear,
it's
Matt.
lovely, isn't it? I think it's production build, which means that performance should be representative. And if you assume it's production build, it's probably the safe bit. Production build is generally faster than a dev build, which has got more stuff going on. Rather than set any false hopes about, the frame rate might be bigger or whatever, might be different, let's just say it's production build. And the worst case then is it might be better. But I think it's production build, so.
Obviously, as you're driving it on a build, the PlayStation 5 you're on, is it a special PlayStation 5 or is it like just a standard PlayStation 5?
It's a dev kit.
It's a dev
What
kit.
they call a test kit. So they've got these dev kits, which are these big things that look like ridiculous, and then they've got test kits, which look like a normal PlayStation 5, but they have a special box, which means I can put my own builds on it.
Mhm.
Whereas a retail version, you can't put your own builds on it; it's all got to come down by the store.
Right.
It's same old controller and all the usual stuff. So effectively, the console itself is pretty much exactly like a retail kit.
Okay. Now, should we stop all the talking and should we get into the playing?
Let's talk about it some more. Right. Okay. So the I'm not going to look at the journey. We'll look at that on the launch stream because I know the journey is wrong in this build.
Okay.
But essentially, it's a spread across the route, It's the usual stuff that you get with the journey. I think it's 5 chapters.
Yeah.
So I'll go straight into explore. Training, you've got the route introduction, the ACE introduction, the SD40-2, and there is also a hill start training module,
Ooh.
because there will be some hill starts in this, and it's important that you learn that process because you'll probably be doing some hill starts, and you can't just release the brakes, go. American trains, especially when they're 12,000 tons and 1.2 miles long, you
Hmm.
just can't drive them like race cars, I'm afraid. So
What a shame.
so the hill start module will teach you the right process. It's quite quick, it's quite easy. You just got to get the controls in the right order.
Scenarios.
Scenarios. We have a selection of scenarios, where this one I think you change. So you drive in and with one consist, drive out with a different consist. Switcheroo is switching in Cheyenne Yard. get over it is helping a failed train. Build up is working the cement works out of Laramie. Magnet for trouble. Now this is fun. Does anyone remember in TS1 we ran a competition when we launched Sherman Hill, and this we're talking about to like 2013, something like that, when we launched the original Sherman. We ran a competition, and a player that I cannot remember the name of, and won that competition. And the competition was design a scenario, as in on paper, just write out some concepts on a scenario, and the winner will actually will build that scenario and will include it in the product. And that scenario was called the Midnight Magnet. And so we thought we couldn't do Sherman Hill on TSW without some sort of call out to the Midnight Magnet. So this is not the Midnight Magnet because we wanted to do something new. Think of it like Midnight Magnet Part 2, essentially. It's a little bit later on, and similar sort of theme, and should be quite fun.
I like that.
It is quite cool, but it was a very popular scenario, and so we thought, well, we have to do something with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, face cams. Face cams off. I'll do that this way because I have not set up the other way of doing it. Right. Okay. Hopefully you can still hear. Can you say something, Nat?
Something.
Good. There you go. I just wanted to make sure that the bars wobbled when you spoke.
Yeah.
And then Sandpark switching is in Cheyenne Yard. There are the whole thing is pretty much manual junctions. So just like on Sandpatch Grade, there is the Cumberland switchback scenario where you can just do anything you like. This is essentially the same thing. So you get free roam of the yard with a bunch of wagons and a bunch of locos, and you can do more. You can do more with it. So that's a bit more up to you. You can't leave the yard, same as you can't in the other places that have got these sort of free roamy type scenarios. But you can do what you like inside the yard, do a bit of switching. So that's the scenarios that come with it. Timetable.
Before we go into the timetable, some people have obviously spotted that on that particular scenario, the Magnet for Trouble one, there's mention of gangs. Now, I'm gonna need you to clarify that obviously we've stuck to our our ethos, which is that we create non-violent games.
Oh, totally non-violent. Yeah.
And okay. Just checking on that one. I mean, no one's going to be jumped.
No, I mean a lot of the tension in the scenario is in your head. As much as anything, it's about the environment around you. As the police cars along the line and cars that are on the tracks trying to stop you, but they've been pulled out of the way, so it doesn't stop you. And it's a bit of fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you played the original Midnight Magnet scenario, you kind of know roughly what to expect, except this one's not midnight, because we looked at it at midnight and thought, yeah, driving in pitch dark's less fun than it might appear to be. So timetable. So the two locos, so there's the SD40-2 and the SD70 ACE. So I am going to address. Let me come off this screen again, just so that it hasn't got the engine rumbling in the background. The SD40-2. So Union Pacific rebuilt all the SD40-2s into SD40Ns, and we can't get reference to an SD40N. At least nowhere near enough reference to do it justice, because the cabs are different, and there are quite a lot of differences actually in the refurbishment. So rather than hack up and try and make something and call it an SD40N, we took the Sandpatch SD40-2 and compared it with the original Union Pacific SD40-2s and tried to get it as close as possible to one of those. So this essentially is a model of an SD40-2 pre the SD40Ns, and yes, it is the same sounds on the SD40-2. I'm going to start. We'll talk about sounds in a minute. That's a whole topic.
It is. We have lots to say about sounds tonight.
So that's the SD40, and then obviously you've got the SD70N at the same time. So what I'm going to do is plug in a little bit of cloud here. We're in July. And I'm going to run Cheyenne Hermosa 0724. So there's a selection of services on here which cover you can see from the outline of the map there. I'll bring up the in-game map in a minute. But there's a selection of services that will basically run from Cheyenne to Hermosa, and
Yeah.
stop. And then other services which will go Hermosa to Laramie. Some of them are Cheyenne to Laramie as one service that you're going to require a bit more time on your hand to do a full run. And some of them will go back the other way. Some of them will use the north line there, and some of them will use the south line there. So there's bits of variety in terms of where the freight goes, how it goes, and so forth. You want me to turn the game down?
Just a little bit, yeah. I think
Maybe
it's probably
try
a
and
bit long.
figure out.
One thing that I've seen asked a few times now is, are there layers on this route?
There are no layers on this route, no.
Okay.
And similarly, the AC 4400 from Cane Creek doesn't substitute into this route, and I've seen people specifically asking for that.
Yep.
So the reason for that is there are some improvements coming from Skyhook for the AC 4400,
Yep.
and we wanted to just settle down and focus on the stuff going on with the SD70. We've also changed the way we do brakes to make them more prototypical, support multiple unit handling better. The way that, so for example, if you've got 4 locomotives at the front of the train, which you're going to have a
Hmm.
lot more on these, then, more often you're going to have 3, 4 locos on the front of a train. You want all the locomotive brakes to apply. When you apply the loco brake, all 4 should be applying their loco brake. And previously, I'm not sure if that was the case. That now is, but sometimes I think there's some concerns at the moment as to about how backward compatible some of those changes are, and so we need to just do a round of testing and upgrading if necessary. I think I was talking to one of the engineers today, and we've got a handle on what needs to be done. So at the moment, rather than potentially put a situation where things don't work, we'll focus on this, and then
Yep.
we'll try and see what we can do with enabling more things, because it would be great to get the AC 4400 on here as well.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. So, like, once those improvements have been made, will we look into adding those layers in?
I'm not going to make any promises.
Not going to make any
So
promises.
it's at this point we're firmly in territory of aspiration.
Okay.
This is something that we want to do,
Yep.
and we will see how the reality actually affects that sort of thing.
Yep.
Right, so we're in the cab of the SD70. Now the SD70, we've got. Let me just pause here. We're hauling 106. We've got 106 vehicles in the train, and we're 6 locos. This is a 100-car train, 8,200 tons worth, and we're 1.6 miles long.
106 cars.
hmm
That's incredible.
It's a representative length of a train in this area. In fact, most of America these days.
Before you start pushing buttons,
hmm
um, on the topic of the amount of cars you're pulling, will the previous generation consoles be able to pull the same amount as, say, the PlayStation 5,
No.
the Xbox Series? No.
No, so and I've seen some comment on the forum about being with the memory optimization work and so forth. Number of cars is not a memory thing; it's a raw CPU thing. And the
Okay.
the Gen 8 consoles just don't have the CPU to handle semigraph on that many cars. It kind of falls off very rapidly
Yeah.
as you go beyond about 50, and even 50 is kind of like the edge. So there's a separate timetable for Gen 8 consoles, PS4 and Xbox One, which is
Hmm.
virtually identical, except that all the trains are shorter.
What kind of numbers are we looking at there, roughly?
Number of services or number of wagons?
Number of wagons.
Number of wagons. Again, we try and stick to the same as we've done on Sandpatch Grade and other routes, so it's 40 to 50.
Right, gotcha. Okay, now you can push the buttons, but please do it slowly
Right,
so that
so
everybody can see what you're doing.
it's going to take, because this train is 1.6 miles long and 106 cars, it's going to take a few minutes for this thing to pump up. So let's get that going first. So I'm going to go into the left screen here, press the More Options button, the Operator Controls button, and then I'm going to set this to the lead unit and cut the brakes in. So this is like the MU2A valve and the brake cut-in that you would normally do via levers. This is done electronically on the ST70 ACE. So we've got the brakes cut in now. This is your hill start process. Apply your locomotive brake, release your train brake. Alright, and then we can start seeing the numbers starting to go up. So the equalizing res will come up really quickly. Brake pipe will come up, and it'll get slower and slower as it pumps up. Now you can also see just about here The
Yeah.
left of the 4 digits there is a 0. That's from the rear of the train. So what we're really looking for is the brake pipe at the rear of the train. That'll give us a good idea about whether or not we got brakes released. So we're just going to hold and leave that to do its thing while we get the rest of the train set up. And this is one of these kind of harsh realities of driving long trains. If you're used to release the brakes and they're off, it's not how American trains work. And that's one of the things that as you drive these big long trains, you're going to find it so much more sluggish to react with the brake controls, that the importance of the things like the dynamic brakes and so forth becomes even more important, because you'll apply the brake if you use the auto brake to slow down, it'll take that much longer to actually take effect, but then it'll keep taking effect as more and more and more of these 100 wagons start applying their brakes. Suddenly you'll find you're over braking, and then when you press release, it'll take a while for them to all release and you'll be stopped. So there's a real sort of skill there in mastering your brakes.
Absolutely.
So let's finish the startup procedure so that we're ready, and then we'll take a look outside. And I know everyone wants to hear the horn, and I can't wait to show you the horn. Right, so fuel pump on, generator field on, the usual 3 switches in just about every American locomotive, which engage the engine. We'll get the headlights on, bright and auxiliaries, which puts the ditch lights on. We'll get the number board lights on. Stick the reverser in and put it in forward, and you'll hear the engine wind up to high idle.
Enzo has asked, is it possible to make the screen brighter, as in the one you were on earlier, the display screen?
Yep. So under this more options here, I can click brighter and brighten that up to quite a bit brighter. You can make this screen doesn't have anything on it, but you can make that one brighter as well.
Cool.
For completeness, so you can beef up the brightness of those screens. Oh, it's not an AC 4400 audio. Right, okay, so we've got the reverser in, we've got that all stuff on. I think we're pretty good now in terms of waiting for the thing to run up. Brake pipe at the rear is currently at 27, at the front we're at 80, so we're just going to have to wait a bit. So let's go and have a look outside.
Oh.
SD70 AC. I love this because so many of the American locos have got, I'm trying to wave with my hands, but they've got angled windows vertically, whereas these have got they're completely flat, and they always make this loco such a unique appearance to it, which is different to other SD70Ms. You know, the SD70 ACE is very unique in that respect. So yeah, this is the we'll have a fly round.
I think before you have a look, you're gonna need to do the horn before you
get the horn
before you drive everyone insane.
There you go, horn.
There's a lot of appreciation for that horn.
Yeah, I'm so pleased. The SD40 has a new horn as well. Yeah.
Can we talk about the horn actually, and how you got the sounds for the horn?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as any of you that are on the forum would have been aware, I posted something in the forums as a sort of a reach out for help, essentially, for sounds for the SD70 and horns and so forth. And someone on there, and I haven't had permission to from the person in question to out him. I was hoping to get that so I could give him full credit because it's great. But if you're on the chat, feel free to out yourself. So it's so he's got a private collection of Nathan K series horns, personally. And it's just like,
which is amazing.
Oh, hello. So he's been working with our audio engineers because he had no recording equipment for it to get some recording equipment and start doing recordings. And he can make up, just about any kind of K series, I think. He working with him, and not only has this got a new horn, it's got 2 horns, and there's 2 subtly different variations that he sent us, and. When you boot up a loco for the first time, when you first boot the game up, it will pick around one of those 2 horns at random. So you might get slightly, and they're only slightly different, but there are 2 different horns on the SD70 ACE and 2 different horns on the SD40-2. So it's yeah, I'm really pleased with how they've come about, and yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
be working with that person more. I think I'm really pleased with how that's come about, how that's working, and yeah, we'll see what else we can do
It's
there.
definitely a success story from asking for the community's
Yeah.
assistance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're going to try and do that more often. So reach out. If you've got something you can help with, particularly something phenomenal like that, then we really want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So this is the. So I'm still looking at the SD70 ACE here.
Yeah.
And our train, we've got. Let's have just a quick fly down the train here. We won't fly all the way down because we'll be here all night. We've got 4 locos on the front.
Wow.
That's 16,000 horsepower, probably more like 17,000 horsepower. And here we are with the wagons, the freight cars. I do apologise. Yes, Hamburg Süd do appear outside of Hamburg. It would seem rather pointless to make giant international containers and then not use them internationally. But yeah, you will see them quite a lot. You've got these smaller containers as well as these wider containers. And maybe, if we're really lucky, we'll see these other and pink ones, obviously.
Um, RD Socks Rules has actually just asked a really great question, which is how well does the camera switch between the front and the back of the train being 100 cars long? Because obviously, if you try flying down, it's going to take you a while, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to take you a while. We'll jump back we'll jump back to the front in a minute, and we'll do a flip to the back so you can see.
Okay.
So this got some interesting feedback actually when we posted the run by video,
Yes.
with people saying, "Well, that looks a bit unsafe. Surely not." And you'll notice that it has actually got the spine supports at the right point. But this is completely realistic. Even though it looks a bit bonkers, it is fully structured to support, and it's not sitting there unsupported. It's actually fully intentional, and that is exactly what happens. So let's go back to the front. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Imagine if we were 100 cars back.
Right?
It's bad enough that there are 4 locos to get past. American trains are something else, and I tell you what, driving them is, especially with the full realistic lengths, is something crazy. Front, back.
Right. What did you push?
So I piston held the right joystick, which is the camera shift key, and then use right D-pad, and you can, and that gives you all of the different types of cameras. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I press and hold right stick and press it again, we're back at the front.
Yeah.
Press and hold right stick again. We're back at the back.
Frame
I
rate
think this is the
hates it
other.
when you do that.
Sorry.
The frame rate is not happy when you do that.
No,
for a
it's not happy because it's
second.
got to. Well, we're nearly 2 miles away, so it's loading a different part of the route in. That's how long this train is. Let me show you the map. So this is the front of the train.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
This is the back of the train.
That is insane.
Yeah, so it's enormous.
I just don't understand. I realise it's physics and everything that gets them moving, but really it's just too big, it shouldn't it? It's actually magic. That's just insane.
Right, how are we looking on the brakes? 74 on the rear, so we're actually not too far off being able to release the brakes now. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put some power on. Wait, did I do the banking com? Let's check. I did not do the banking com. Let's not put the throttle on. Put it back into neutral, and we're going to turn banking com on. I do not have to go and do anything into the rear locos for this. It's all set up. All I've got to do is, having turned banking com on, it will now work. So I put it in forwards. I'm going to apply a couple of bits of power on here, and wait for the amps to come up so you can see the amps building up on there.
Matt, Joshua Barden's just asked, can I ask, why does the train have so many containers, like 100 wagons? What is the purpose of having so many? What's it transporting?
They transport all sorts of different things. The reason there are so many is that they are going they're going such long distances and such long stretches between, from A to B, that you don't want to do it with lots of little trains. You just want to have one enormous train and get it all done in one go. It's
Right.
much, much quicker. And American railroads are built and designed to be able to cope with these massive trains because they have these huge distances to cover. It's one of those things. Every railroad is different because it solves a different problem. Fundamentally, they're all vehicles riding on rails, but the difference is because they're solving different problems. The trains in the UK, trains in Germany, have got different problems to solve compared to the ones in the US, and this is where you get these massive trains. The same true actually in Australia. They've got huge
Yeah.
distances to cover, and so they have massive long trains as well.
Yeah, I saw some of the massive ones when I was in Australia and I couldn't get over. Like, I just kept on waiting for them to finish going past and they never did.
It's a bit like how it is here with these ones. So I've just
Yeah.
released the independent brake. It's taking the slack up. Looks like the rear hasn't quite released yet. There it is. The release has now just gone, so we're now speeding up. So we're on the way. I'll put it. Now we know where the whole train is moving. We can go for it. Right. Let's get going. As I said, we're on PS5. Draw distances are lower than on PC. So on PC you'll see a bit further out, and obviously on PC you can tweak the INI files if you're so inclined, but at your detriment. But yeah, this is PS5 that you're seeing here.
So, is it going to be quite challenging for people to get used to getting this moving and stopping correctly? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, very
it's going to
much
be a
so.
tough learning curve, this one.
It's going to be, if you're not used to the idea of how these work, or you've been able to get by previously because the trains have been a bit shorter. I mean, even a 50-car train, you do have to drive,
Yeah.
fairly accurately. But a 100-car train, you'll be wanting to go slow when you're coming up to your stopping point, rather than rushing up to it, scam and jamming the brakes on, because you'll jam the brakes on and nothing happens, and you're carrying on rushing.
That's me. That's me in trouble.
Now, one of the things we have done is we have pulled back a lot of the stop points, but we have a bad habit, and I'm going to be completely honest about this. We have a bad habit of putting stop points 6 inches in front of red lights. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've tried to make a special effort to pull them way the heck back, just
Okay.
because you need it with these trains. But even so, hole up slowly and then bring it to a stop, and it's and you'll be fine.
Yeah, is that just to be a bit more forgiving?
Well, in reality, I think they stop. You don't. They wouldn't stop a train like this 6 inches from the red light. Anywhere within, as long as you're in visual sight of the red light, almost is fine. Because or within, I think someone said 500 meters or something, or 500 yards, something like that. So yeah, there's a there is a lot of much more loose stopping. It's not about stopping on that millimeter with
Yeah.
these trains, because it's not practical. It's very difficult to do that.
Absolutely.
So that's what we tried to do. Right now, we're getting whole questions about the horn inside the cab. So let me show you some other stuff that we've done as well related to audio on this. So let me do the horn. I'll be quiet. So that's the horn there. Now, one of the things that the audio team have done is they're actually doing. I'm going to get the wording wrong here. It's either a high pass or a low pass filter, one of the two. It was explained to me and then out the other way. But the idea is that previously, with windows being open and closed, really all it would do is a volume modifier.
Right.
Because we used to do something called an EQ modifier, which modifies the equalization. But that doesn't work on any of the consoles. In the Unreal Engine code, we were trying to figure out why it wasn't working. When we looked in the Unreal Engine code, and it literally says / to do. So I was like, okay, so we can't use that then, because we don't want to have to author the audio twice. But we have found these filters. So there's the high. And what that's doing is it's trimming off the high pitch noise, so you're getting much more of a bass rumble, the lower end part of the component of the audio. But as you open the window, it'll let some of that high sound back in again. So again, if you do the horn. So it's the window is now doing that. It's toggling that filter, which is a better effect.
There are a few people saying it's very quiet
I can
inside
hear
the
it.
cab. Is it the game audio that's too quiet, or just the horn that's too quiet?
I've no idea. I've never been in an SC70 AC, so I couldn't tell you if it's too quiet. But
Yeah.
I will turn the audio of the game up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem to go up sharply. That was working when I last tried it. So I will talk to Mr. Audio person and we'll find out what's going
Is the
on.
nice thing you were talking about not working?
No, it doesn't seem working quite as well the way it was before. I thought it sounded really good, and that's not quite the same. Yeah, it was louder with the window open before, Matt Tamka.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Yeah. Yep.
Safety systems, I've not got them turned on because, I'll be honest with you, I haven't gone and had my tutorial on how to do it and how they work. But it's got the cab signalling, which is in and working. This is a Union Pacific flavour of cab signalling. There is a fuse in yonder fuse cabinet here, and you can use that to turn it on, but be one of those. There is also the alerter as well.
The safety system something you think you could learn before the previous stream?
Oh yeah, fully.
No, not preview, the launch stream.
The launch stream one. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll nag you if you don't.
Low pass filter. There you go, Callum. I knew it was I knew it was one of the two. I wanted to, rather than say the wrong thing and pretend to know what I'm talking about, and everyone who knows what I'm talking knows what I should be saying, I thought I'd be honest. Right, so how are we doing? We're up at 32 miles an hour. So this route, top speed, I think is 55, 60. This is not a slow route. You'll be running somewhere in the order. I measured it on Google Earth, and I think the official measurement's not quite the same. But I measured it on Google Earth. What did I put in the chat, Nat, earlier on? It was something like 60 something
hold
miles.
on, let me pull that up. Because that gives us a good opportunity to talk about something else as well.
Yeah.
Right. You've said it's about 62 from end to end.
62. Now this is just literally drawing a line on Google Earth from the far end of Cheyenne to the far end of Laramie, following tracks 1 and 2, is in the order of about 62 miles from end to end.
And then you've put the other 14 on the northern bit of track 3.
And the other bit is this bit here. So one of tracks 1 and 2 are on the right hand side here, and then this one is a single track line that runs up here. So that's about another 14 miles. And what do they add up together to make?
So 76 miles.
76 miles, and that makes this the biggest route in train sim world.
Yes. Now with track 3, I believe you said it would have been 116 miles. And can we talk about track 3 now we're on this topic?
So what is track 3 first? Let me just outline what that is. So we've just departed Cheyenne. Track 3 starts here and then comes down south to Spear Junction, I think it is. Comes back up to where this line here, which is the Borry Cutoff. Comes along, goes around and down a little bit more, and eventually finds the route again at Dale Junction over here.
Right.
That's about 39 miles. That extra route over there. It's predominantly single track, but the reason, as I understand it, it was done is this is quite steep. And so they built the track 3 because it's going to go something like a 0.8% ruling grade, so it's a longer journey, but it's a shallow one, so they can run heavier trains faster. Now, we have not implemented that. Now, we originally, I'm going to be upfront, we wanted to implement that. It feels like it's an important part of the entire picture. That's it was 116 miles. Was that? That was
160 miles, and as I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that it's obviously being compared to Train Simulator as well, which has it.
Yep, yeah, Train Sim 1 does have it. What am I? I'm trying to say.
You were saying that you
Yes.
wanted to add it.
So
to
we
the
laid-
project, I imagine.
We've laid all of the track. So
Yeah.
we have laid all the track, and we've also put all the signals down for the extra line. But building a 116-mile route in train sim world it's a big ask. And what we need to, what we were relying on for that was that the auto generator, which were upgraded and enhanced for this, would actually pull a lot more of the slack on it, and so that it was going to be, the amount of heavy lifting required from the art team to do it was a bit more manageable. As it turned out, while the auto generator helped a bit, didn't help anywhere near as much as we were hoping it would, so cuts had to be made in order to be able to keep the project. So this is one of those harsh realities. No one likes the answer, but it is the answer. Projects have to meet a deadline.
Yep.
Yeah, the business sets deadlines for when things go out. There are reasons for those deadlines, and same as any job, you'll be told when you need to get stuff done by. And unfortunately, things didn't work out with the auto generator the way we'd hoped. So we had to sort of adjust the spec, and we adjusted it by losing the scenery on track 3. I think it's still. Been an awful lot of time spent on this project. It's been an awful lot of time spent on this project. So it's not like it's, been cut, to cut the hours on it. It's more bringing the hours, because it would have been too much. They would have it wouldn't have been able to be delivered, and we just wouldn't have been able to make the route, to be honest.
Now, obviously, you've mentioned that the track has already been laid, the signals has already been laid. Is this something that could potentially be added in the future?
Yeah, potentially. And it's something the team really, really want to do at some point. We do not have a plan to do it, so I want to be really clear about that.
Yeah.
Please do not say, it'll definitely come then. It's an aspiration.
It's very much like it's happening, it's going to be added, next month. That's not the case right now at all, is it?
No, it is not in a plan to do this. What we have done is we have made sure to not close that door. If we'd removed all of the track and not done the signalling, then that would be much, much more difficult to be able to then come back and add it. But because all of that groundwork has been done, it then becomes possible to do that at a later date, if the opportunity arises for that. So, and I hope it does, but it's not on a plan, etc., etc. Do not expect it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we just passed Wagon, by the way, which is the ethanol or fuel, or it's where the tankers live, essentially. So there's actually some services where you'll be running between Cheyenne and Wagon, shunting and moving tankers on a local service in there. So there's a bit going on in there. Not a lot, but a bit. So you will be using Wagon facility. And as we get further along, little spoiler, Granite, which is the quarry here, is fully accessible. Again, there are services that use this as well. I think it might even be the SD40-2 tutorial. I think is in here as well.
I was wondering what the loop-de-loop was.
It's a quarry. It's basically like an MGR quarry, a merry-go-round quarry. So the trains will go in, fill up, and come straight back out and go on to where they're going.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So someone actually asked earlier on about the audio for the SD70 ACE. So I think it's time to talk audio.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we do, can you obviously can you give everybody a sound of what it currently sounds like?
Yep. Aside from that bell, which is constantly playing, which I have no idea where that's coming from. Right, so there's your run by.
Yep.
And that's what it sounds like.
Now, anybody with a particularly good ear is going to know that's not completely accurate, isn't that right, Matt?
It is not completely accurate, no.
Let's talk about it. First of all, why isn't it accurate?
Okay, so I'm going to blame it on something, and I hate it when people blame it on this COVID.
Yeah.
Because it's way too easy to get out.
Yeah.
But in this case, it is what happened. So when we commissioned this project, and by the way, I think these sounds were actually pretty decent based on where we've been able to get to. But
Yes.
so I'm not in any way trying to say I think these sounds are poor. I think these sounds are pretty decent, but they're not where we want them to be.
Yep.
So when we commissioned this project, we had a research trip planned to Little Rock with Union Pacific, and the plan there was to go and record trains and climb about the locos. The usual playgroundy stuff that the audio team and the art team leads like to do when they go out and have fun and then send me pictures and say, ha ha ha, you're not here. They literally do. It's really mean. And they remind me of it repeatedly afterwards.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Literally, they were telling me earlier on this week about one of the previous trips and so, oh yeah, and I was in the cab on that one. Thanks, great. But anyway, I'm digressing with my grumbles.
Yes, you are.
So
back to the point.
There was a point. So yes, we had this trip. So we commissioned the project because we had everything. All the ducks were lined up. Actually, it was like the stars were aligning, and it was great. And then this pandemic thing happened, unfortunately, and as completely as you would expect it to, that put paid to doing reference trips, and that trip almost immediately after it was all agreed was cancelled. And we haven't been able to get it resurrected since. So what that means is we haven't been able to get a reference trip to an ST70 ACE, and we don't have ST70 ACE sounds. Yes, folks, this is not ST70 ACE sounds you're listening to. So we put this. One of the reasons I put the request out onto the forums, which was for what help can we get recording ST70 ACE sounds, and there were some great ideas, none of which really panned out. There was a couple of opportunities with a couple of railroads, and they've not actually reached to the point we can do recording trips yet. I'll just give you an idea. When we arranged the Amtrak recording trip, which got us the ACS 64, that was 2 years it took to get that one from originally and sort of starting the conversation to actually feet on the ground in Washington.
That is actually a really good point to mention as well, because Matt Jamker's literally just asked how far back was this route commissioned. So it's been a while ago, right, since you were trying to get these sounds, I imagine. It's not as if it was just last week you thought they
No, I mean, it's a minimum of a year. We know
Yeah.
that we've got routes that we are looking at. This route, I think, has been on our plan to do for quite some time. We're just going past actually Borry Cut-Off. This is what's coming in on the left here on the route for those that are looking at the line. So this route's actually been, because it's an American train, American freight is notoriously difficult to get access to. The passenger side of things, where we can get the licenses, like the Caltrain, Amtrak, MBTA, we found it relatively easy. They've been really, great partners to work with. The freight, they're a different beast because of to some degree because of the regulations they work under and so forth. But we've been finding it incredibly difficult to get access to the trains.
Yeah.
So these other options that came up in the forum post, we're still pursuing them, and we'll continue to pursue them until hopefully to a positive conclusion. Well, that's left us in a situation where right now we don't have satisfactory ST70 ACE sounds. We did look at Train Simulator, by the way, because we have an ST70 ACE Train Simulator. So I thought, well, as a worst case, if we got something there, and it's not good enough. I don't think it is. One of the problems, it's a really old sound set, and it's using, I think, only 2 audio recordings or 3 audio recordings for the entire power range, and that's just not going to work in Train Sim World.
So is that like a classic example of where what's working on Train Simulator won't necessarily work on Train Sim World?
No, I mean, yeah, exactly. There's taking sounds from TS1 and putting them on TSW is it's going to be hit and miss as to whether or not if there's enough there, and certainly as to whether it's going to be at the right fidelity for it. So we were looking around at other options, and there is a close linkage between the Class 66 and the SD70 ACE. One of the, albeit 16-cylinder versus 12-cylinder, they're actually very similar engine. I think they're the same engine, other than the fact that one of them's obviously a lot beefier. So what the audio team have done is they've taken the Class 66 audio from TSW, run it through processing magic to make it different, and come up with sort of a compromise of this is our rendition of SD70 AC audio.
Processing magic.
Well, I don't pretend to be able to explain and understand. I mean, I couldn't even remember low pass filter. So
this might be something where it's worth actually talking to the audio team and actually getting them to perhaps explain to the community what they do with the audio.
I think it'd be one of the things that certainly you and I have talked about quite frequently is you need the audio team to come and say hello. If not on a stream, then certainly on an article, and so show you the tools they use, how they process things, and it's explain the whole process and what they've got to work with. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, obviously, you've mentioned that on this occasion the sounds weren't right because of the pandemic, and like you said, we hate giving that answer, right? I mean, I believe we're not the only ones recently that have been caught out because of the pandemic. I think Skyhook had a similar experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but it affects everybody when you're trying to get out to recordings. With US Freight, it's always been hard, very difficult. I mean, I don't think we've ever been able to get a recording trip for US Freight, and this was going to be our first US Freight recording trip we were going to go out on. There you go.
Now, obviously, going forward, we've had huge success with the horns, asking the community for help. Obviously, on this occasion, we weren't able to get the correct sounds for this loco, but it's still if you're in the community and you think you've got sounds that we can use, then please do share them with us. But what else are the plans? So we know it's wrong. If we're able to get it updated, are we going to?
So I don't want to make a promise I can't keep on that front. Okay. Again, speaking of aspirations, yes, I'd love to be able to update the sounds on this. I don't know if we're going to get new sounds, or there's any number of things that might make it difficult. But we are going to continue to try and get the sounds. We're still working to try and arrange introductions, get licenses, sign off insurances, and all of these other things so that we can get that. We have someone lined up in the US who is ready and willing to go and record sounds for us, and so it's getting access to the locomotives themselves. If we can do that, then we will do our best to see what we can do, but I do not want to fill anyone with any kind of false promise here and say,
fair enough.
We're saying it will be done. I'm saying we're aspiring that we would love to do it, but I don't know how and when and if that will happen.
That's fair enough.
You want a flyby horn, okay? Two trains passing the day.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy that there's you've come across another train.
You should, on one journey, you should see more than one train. This is quite a busy route, and you should see multiple trains on most of the journeys that you do. In the tools where I've been, I can quickly wind trains backwards and forwards. I mean, it's like a play and rewind tool. All the ones certainly I'd looked at had numerous trains that you crossed paths with.
I have a question about those. What was the other one? Pushing, pulling, coaches, cars, wagons. Correct name.
What's the question? The thing in the middle, the freight, is
The
they're
thing in the
freight
middle.
cars. They're freight
The
cars.
cargo. Why were they? Why were those ones all identical and yours look different?
So they were grain cars, and so they're all the same actually. My train is this train is what they call a unit train, same as that grain train was. But I've just got lots of different containers, but the actual cars are still these Scunders and Husky stacks. So I've got 100 of the same car, and they've got however many they've got, but they've got the same car. So there are a lot of unit trains on the route. There's also manifest trains, which have got different types. There is this interesting train called the Super Fruit, which is all refrigerated cars. So there's actually 2 new wagons with this route as well. One of them is the box car, and one of them is the reefer. The box car is kind of a reddy colour, and the reefer is a white one. Reefer meaning refrigerated car.
Oh, cool.
Just have a quick look on the map, see where we are. So we're going towards Granite, and this section here. Actually, I'm really looking forward to showing you. This is from Hermosa to the Hermosa to Dale section, Dale to Hermosa, I think it is where the tracks combine. So effectively you see track 3 coming up here at Dale Junction, and then you've got them splitting off again here. This section here is really, really unique in the way it looks. It's got all of those famous shots you see. In fact, where we did the run by from was there with the bigger rocky outcroppings and so forth. That's the really, really lovely part of the route.
Ancraft has said, can we see those new cars at the end, even if it's just quickly? I'm sure we can do that, can't we, Matt?
Can you make a note? Put it on your post-its.
I don't have my post-its down. I moved house. I don't know where I put them. They're in a box somewhere. I can't remember which box. It's not Sam, but it's him.
The wind turbines, again, another popular thing that you'll see. I'm speeding up, by the way, using a keyboard. I haven't got the camera on, so I can't show you my keyboard, but I've got a little Bluetooth keyboard that I use with the console so that I can get access to things a bit more quickly.
Oh my gosh, someone in the chat just told me about this magnificent thing. Windows has a post-it app.
So I'm actually running on notch 8 at the moment. I am on full power, and we're running up a 1.5% gradient at the moment.
So when you've been asked how fast can you go, this is it.
This is as fast as this train is going. I mean, other trains can go faster, yeah, this one. The speed limit at the moment is 45, so I'm running about 15 miles an hour under the speed limit.
Red Leader said, I bet it's much faster going in the opposite direction. I'm pretty sure
The
right.
downhill run is a little bit more hold on to your horses. You better have learned how to use a dynamic brake by now.
I mean, I feel like I'd just let gravity do all the work. Can you derail if you go too quickly downhill?
Yeah, you can. It's harder than you'd think, but yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, you totally can. Someone's saying, is it really this empty or is the scenery dialed back? So there's a combination. You're out in the plains. You know, it is kind of open country. Um, but we're on console rather than PC. You will see a bit more of that.
Yeah.
But this grass disappears fairly quickly. The stuff that you're seeing here, I mean, it is placed, further back, but you won't see it because it stops rendering it because it's a bit of a performance drag because of all the alpha channels going involved there.
Gotcha.
Technical thing called an overdraw. These things are quite a unique feature of this route. Not a unique feature of this route, but you see them a lot on this route. They're a common feature, and they're snow barriers. So they're used to just stop the wind from interfering with getting the snow everywhere. It's quite windy being open area as well. Let me go back in the cab. It's quite windy because of the open area. The bell is broken.
So I guess you can play it in like snowy weather and stuff like that.
Snow is completely valid for this. It's you don't generally find it fully snow. Because there's so much wind in the area. You'll find that the snow as it's coming down, it gets blown around a lot. But you will see snow probably throughout the year, not for very long. It is there. In the summer, I think it gets a bit more parched. It's quite an interesting feel to the route. As you're driving through the plains, managing it up the gradient, and then as you get the other side of it, you've then got the summit when then you'll be heading down. Summit is, you can tell because the tracks get wider. It's over to the right here somewhere. There it is. This is Summit. About there. About Reno. It's not quite the middle. A bit to the west, but that's where Summit is. The bell is just making everybody aware that I'm driving, yeah. How long in miles? What did we say is the main corridor? 62?
Hold on. Keep making me look back. Yes, 62.
62 for the main corridor, 14 for the second line there. So, 76 miles in total.
Which is long. Is that our longest route?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the longest route. I think the 62, I don't think it's quite the longest. The 62 journey, I think LGV might be a little bit longer than that, albeit you drive that rather faster. But less cool, in my opinion. I love US freight. But it's definitely the longest of the American routes.
Yeah.
So the third line there, if you mean the little Ford, this section here, the one that goes by the cement plant, yes, there's a scenario that goes down to the cement plant. There are services that run up and down this side of the line as well as running up and down the other side of the line. So that line does get used. Obviously, track 3, as we were talking about earlier on, isn't there, so that won't be used. Will there be a free roam, Conrail guy? So there is a sand patch switcher scenario which just lets you do whatever you like within Cheyenne Yard constraints. You can't leave Cheyenne Yard, so if you've used Cumberland Switchback, for example, then you can, it's the same idea as that. You can do whatever you like within Cheyenne, which is enormous. But yeah, with all the wagons and so forth, the locos that are put in there.
Roy Henderson's asked when is it coming out? On the 25th of November. Which is that Thanksgiving?
I believe so.
There you go.
I ought to get my wife's from Massachusetts, so we'll be doing the pumpkin pie thing probably.
Can't say I'm a fan of pumpkin pie. I apologise if that offends people.
Sorry, the audio engine is talking to me, but I've tried that and it doesn't turn it off. Can you look at that when you get in tomorrow? Thank you.
So basically, what you're doing is what JD did during his first 4-up challenge.
Yeah, we're driving with the bell all the time. But no, we'll be here, Chris Becker. Yeah. We don't normally do an awful lot for Thanksgiving, but my wife does like to do something, put something on the table, because, well, she hates cooking, and I hate cooking, and therefore a big Thanksgiving dinner is probably a bit challenging. Someone asked, why has it got a steel bell sound? Because down here is a steel bell.
Oh, cool. If that was working properly, should it be moving while it's...
We used to animate those. I don't know if we do anymore, because it's one of those things that almost nobody sees it.
Okay.
Because it's a bit out of the way. Yeah, I'm going to double check to make sure that, is that intentionally not animated, or is that broken and no one's noticed? There was also some feedback on the when we did the first round of screenshots in the article about the red stripe at the bottom of the logo.
You say some feedback. I believe there was quite a lot.
Extensive feedback about the red stripe at the bottom of the logo, which you'll now see is a reflective yellow stripe. The history behind that is all of our reference photographs came from an earlier SD70 ACE when they had red stripes, and we hadn't appreciated that in 2010 regulations had stipulated they change it to a reflective yellow stripe, and so every SD70 AC after about 2010, I think it was 2005 when that came in, and then by about 2010 they'd all been switched over. So yeah, changed. So here we are, we're at Granite now, I think. This is the junction for Granite, which heads off down over in that direction. And there's, like I said, the services that use that. The SD40-2 has its tutorial in there as well, so you'll be using Granite. It's explorable.
CTSL Rail fans asked, why are the ditch lights a different shade of yellow from the headlight?
I have no idea. We need to talk to an artist about that one.
Yes. Is it supposed to be different? Well, if you don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Roy Henderson, I'm on PS5, as you can see from this. But obviously it's on Xbox as well. Bear in mind, again, I'm running a train here. There's 106 cars long, 8,200 tons, and 1.6 miles of train. That's on what they call Generation 9 platforms. So this is the Xbox Series S, Series X, the PlayStation 5, and on PC you'll get the long consists. On the Xbox, on the Gen 8 platforms like Xbox One and PS4, you get the consists that are equivalent to other routes that have gone before, like Sandpatch Grade, which are in the order of 40 to 50 cars. So we're just passing Granite now. Starting to get some rocks appearing.
What is that in the distance? That building?
That's the facility. That's the quarry, where the wagons will go to get loaded. We've taken a little bit of a liberty. We're going to be, again, completely honest, in that we're using Bethgons for coal. We're also using them for the quarry. In reality, you wouldn't use Bethgons for that. They've got other kinds of open hoppers they'd use for that. But I think we've got 7 wagons and freight cars in the game, and there wasn't scope for another one. So, but we didn't want to miss out on using the quarry. Are there services that do something at Granite? There are, yes.
I just saw somebody saying something about trophies. Any news on trophies for future PlayStation 5 routes? So obviously this one has trophies, doesn't it?
Yes, this has trophies on all platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, and our advice for the time being is ask about the trophies before a route releases, and we will make sure that you're kept up to date whether or not they're going to be included. And we will make sure that you know before you're able to purchase.
No, I can't turn the bell off. Everyone is asking why isn't the bell. There appears to be a bug in this build where I cannot turn the bell off. I've tried the keyboard as well, and the bell will not turn off. It is haunting me. It's the curse of
driving everyone insane.
Well, you can't. Fortunately, certainly inside the cab, you can't really hear it that much. It's L bug. Yeah. It's.
Can we just watch some of the containers going past, like from outside for a bit? Like, I think that's quite fun. Just to watch it all going.
Let's go up here a little bit.
Ooh, I like that idea. Like proper train spotters now.
Rail fan. There's no road traffic in this build. That is one thing that was being worked on today.
Okay.
Isn't in this build, so there will be road traffic. Whether there'll be road traffic at this particular bridge or not, I wouldn't want to promise. But I know that road traffic wasn't in until today, which means it isn't in this build. How many scenarios in total? I think it's 5, maybe 6.
I'm sure it said 6.
Yeah, I think it was 6, because I think they planned 5, started building 5, and then I did what I normally do and spanned another one in.
Of course you did.
When I walk up to the gameplay team and I'm like, wait, that whole yard is manual. You know what I'm going to say? Keep it like a free roam scenario.
They see you coming over and they're like, oh no.
Yeah, most people do, to be honest, in the team. They're like, oh, what does it look now?
It just keeps going and going.
It's kind of a long train.
Right.
We've got no plans to make articulated stacks at the moment, but we want to try and add new wagons, freight cars every time we do something. So hopefully at some point I'll make it. We have done artic stacks, articulated containers on other. So I think the ones we did on Germany, I think they ended up being articulated.
Mm-hmm.
Has Matt tried to turn the bell off? Yes.
No, he hasn't actually.
Many
He really likes the annoying constant ringing of the bell, don't you?
Oh, I've got 1% brake on the independent. How'd that?
I think it's just JD being here in spirit.
No, you can't livery design the containers, Oct 197. That's something we'd love to be able to do. We're not at a point of obviously making a container livery designable probably isn't the hardest thing in the world, but then having a pool of them that work, that's what we're not quite ready for yet. But it is something on our aspirational we would like to do.
Is it
Here are the
possible?
locos.
Mikey's asked, is it possible to have over 100 freight cars?
Yes. I mean, there's no technical, and there's no in-game limit to the number of freight cars that you can have. The limit is going to be down to how well do you want it to run on a particular platform. So we wanted to make sure that when we did Sherman Hill, especially given the power available in the next gen consoles and stepping up the PC, we wanted to do more than the 40 or 50. Let's push it on and do the 100 car, because it is a much more authentic experience. Apparently Ed was saying he tried 612 before. Yeah, not a good idea, Ed.
612?
Yeah, because he's a bit mad, is our Ed.
Did it even turn on?
He does say not a good idea. ... So, but I could have told you that actually. You didn't really need to do that test. That was a fairly expectable conclusion.
I don't know. At least now we know for sure.
Find out where on the map we are. Okay, so we're not actually an awful long way from the summit, and then we'll be heading through a Mosa tunnel.
Just to reiterate for anybody that missed the answer to how many containers you'll get on the older generation consoles, it's about 40 to 50, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah. Similar, if you've got Sandpatch grade, expect similar length trains to Sandpatch grade. Cab tour.
Ooh, yes. Show
This
us
is the cab. So conductor has his own speedometer, giant big thing. You can take your glasses off and read that one comfortably. You've obviously got the nose here, so you can nose you on out to the front.
That doesn't seem very safe. Can you actually do that while you're driving?
Well, probably the engineer would be expected to be sat here and not wandering around while the train is driving. But
yeah, fair enough.
No, I mean if they're going slow, they would they come out the front ready to start unhooking cars and things like that.
No, that is terrifying. Let's not.
And this door, no, you can't go in this door. Just before anybody asks, we don't do what's behind this door in TSW. Yes.
No, don't start that debate.
So you got the fuse. So you got a bunch of switches here. So this is your isolation switch, engine start switch. The tutorial takes you through a cold start. You've got your headlight control, your dynamic brake cut in, cut out, and a number of other indicators. And then inside here, you've then got a bunch of fuses, things like the alerter, cab signalling system. So this switch here will turn on the cab signalling, which is that. And you get different lights which just show you what the signals are. I'm going to get my learn on for the next stream so that I can speak as if I almost know what I'm talking about. Be a first, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she agreed. Oh, hush.
Did you really think I was going to disagree?
So someone said that DPU system, Brody, that DPU system is not realistic. No, we haven't implemented DPU. There are screens in the real thing and fencing and all sorts of things you can do with full DPU. We're not at a point yet we've got full DPU that we can do. Something again on the aspiration list, a bit like Ebola on the German trains. It would be awesome to get full DPU working. We're not there at this point. So this is where we've got the radio. You press this button here for banking com, which is utter nonsense. Banking com doesn't exist in real life, but it's basically how this train controls all the remote trains. Without banking com, effectively the ones at the back would sit on idle, and the ones on the front would be doing all the work. So with banking com on, the pushers will or bankers will contribute power. Speedometer is here, 33 miles per hour. The two big numbers here are your equalizing reservoir and your brake pipe. Then you've got below that, you've got the rear brake pipe pressure, which is 89. The flow rate, the main reservoir, which is 131, brake cylinder, which is actually the one that says, which is 0 at the moment, which actually is how much brake, what the brakes are doing on your local locomotive. You've got things like your length, you've got what power you're applying, you've got what notch you're in, what the lights are doing, all sorts of things going on here. Can you run out of fuel? Yes, but you know, you've got quite a lot of fuel in these 4 locos, so actually the fuel on these things lasts quite a long time. Longer than you're likely to do in a session. So
that's what I was going to say. Is it likely to happen while you're playing?
No, I mean I think they fill them up, you know, every couple of days or something, and that's with them doing quite a lot of work. Right. So it's but the fuel does go down. So in theory, yeah, you could run out of fuel, and it will kill the engine if you do that, as far as I'm aware. Although I don't know if anyone's tested that. Actually, I'll have to get someone to test that. What you play the game for 3 days and tell me if it runs out of fuel? Can't you give us a cheat? No.
I feel like you might get in a bit of trouble for that request.
Abuse of power.
Yeah.
No, I'll just get Moggy to do it. He's fine. You got your wiper controls up here. So front right, front left. So if I put the wipers on, yay! Wipers in the dry. Moggy, loving it.
Are you just on a Moggy witch hunt tonight? What's going on?
It's no different to any other night. Where are we now? So we'll be coming up actually onto. This is quite a really, really interesting part of the route where the track snakes around a little bit. And the other thing that's really interesting in this bit, you'll see bits of track, and this is all real. You'll find actually, I don't know whether we're coming up to it now. I think we are. Where there's actually, it looks like there's, or have we already gone past it? Where there was, yeah, there it is. Look, see that bit of track that's missing there? That's real. Yeah, that's intentional. The middle track's out of commission, and you'll find at the other end of this, it's similar. There you go. See where it runs out there.
Where's the track?
Well, basically they've stopped using it. They just haven't. So they've taken the junctions out, but they've just left the track there because it's just work that you don't need to do.
You also just showed us on the map, and then we literally just drove past it.
We did. Is there an SE70 ACE in the sand patch timetable? I don't know if it will be by the time it releases. So again, one of the things we've done, more bits of old broken track. One of the things that we've done is we have tweaked away some of the brakes work to make it more prototypical, and the team are reviewing whether or not that's compatible with the old system. We don't think it is fully compatible, and what we need to do to make sure it works. So I think the SD70 might be getting pulled away so it doesn't sub on Sandpatch Grade 4 right now. So assume it doesn't, and if it does, hooray, it's probably the safest place to be.
Random players asked, what year does this route present in?
I believe it's modern. It's current-ish.
Current-ish.
Current-ish. Well, any representation of a route is a period of time, and so essentially, roughly nowish. Essentially, is when we're trying to. If we pick a specific day, then it will just always be wrong.
Okay.
So it's kind of like capturing the essence so that you can understand what's going on. Oh, we're picking up speed a little bit now because the gradient's actually eased off, and that's because we're approaching the summit.
You're speeding.
Oh, I'm speeding.
Yeah, you are.
That's less good. Cut the power. What a night lights look like. That's something that's not in this build actually. The night lighting has not been done in this one. Now, obviously, the vast majority of the route, you're in the wilderness. It's dark. But we've used moonlight so that it's not, pointless basically. So there is moonlight when you're driving. Now, what you'll find is that the idea of the night lighting that's been going in today has been to sort of populate, Wagon, Granite, Cheyenne, Laramie, and so on and so forth with the lights.
Can we take a look at the night lighting in the launch day one?
Yeah, we should be able to.
Yeah. So long with the safety systems that you've done your homework, we'll also do some night light stuff.
Are there heritage unit schemes for the C70 AC? So there's just the one livery. So that's all there is included in the pack. Just the one livery of each of the 2 locomotives. Let's pour on a bit more power. It'll be levelling up shortly, and we can get going. Now, actually, we just passed a signboard. I'm just going to flick over here to here. If you see one of these signboards, treat it like a red light. Stop and tab. Stop and then contact the dispatcher to get permission to proceed past that red light. These are boards that are used because you're in a siding here. And if you want to get onto the main line, if you ever find one of these boards, you must stop. Treat it like a red light before you proceed.
Okay.
Can you turn the bell off? I'd love to turn the bell off. I mean, I genuinely would love to turn the bell off, but I can't because of bugs.
Will you get a SPAD if you don't contact the...
Yes, it is a red light.
Right.
It is red, all the red. And if you go through it, you'll SPAD, which is why you just stop, press and hold, they'll use the contact dispatcher, and then if you get a... you'll again get told whether or not you're cleared to proceed through that or not. The chance of you needing to pass that specific one is fairly low, but there may be other ones on the route. So this is just, I thought I'd call it out while we were going past it. It's not the first time we've used those boards. It will show up on the HUD as a red light, yes.
I was just about to ask that. You beat me to it.
Can you hear the horn? Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Oh, look at that.
That's great. Give people the horn. That's excellent.
Right. Let's put the power on a bit. We're not quite at the summit yet.
NGC's asked, does this route have livery editor on the locomotives and the rolling stock?
Almost at the summit. Where are we?
Mm-hmm.
The train is so big it looks like it's the line.
Looks like it's the track.
Where's the front? There's the front. Yeah, we're coming up to summit now. Sorry, what's the question about livery editor?
Does it have it?
Yes. Yeah, all stock should have livery editor support.
P-Jan said, overlooking the entire train and the FPS stayed at 60. I'm impressed. Yeah.
It's just a joy. It really is. It's great fun. I'm really, really pleased. We knew that it would be able to handle more, but we were kind of going, well, we'll start with 100 and maybe we need to pull it back to 80. You know what? We left it 100 because it is fine, and it's, you know, you can then say it's got 100 cars as well, which is cool.
Which is nice.
Now, what I don't know is whether or not the sign is in yet. Guess we'll find out in a minute.
Are you about to SPAD again?
No. This is the summit.
Oh.
And there's a sign at summit. It, you know, tells you you're at the summit. But again, it's one of the things that they were getting in. Let's pop it up to the external camera. I don't think the sign's in yet, so that'll be in the build that was just being done then.
When it is added, what does it look like?
It's basically a white board that says Sherman Hill, summit, I think, of the Transcontinental Railroad, and the altitude that you're at.
Oh, cool! No, I like that.
Right, we're now downgrade.
So you start speeding all the way down.
This is where things get crazy. Now, I've just taken all the power off, so I'm just going to let it, because we know it's still, you know, a large chunk of the train, you know, over a mile of it is still going uphill. So, you know, I'm going to let momentum carry us forward, and then the weight of the front half will pick us back up again. And then by keeping an eye on the accelerometer ball there on the HUD and our speed, I can bring in the dynamic brakes shortly.
Yeah, I was going to say, while you're going downhill and using all the brakes, can you explain how they work while you're using them, please?
So there are 3 different brake systems on a US train, in most US trains, and sometimes in other countries' trains as well, but we're talking about US trains here. And the one that's important for going down a hill is your dynamic brake, and basically that is, you know, where your engines, you'd put power into the motor, which will make the motor go forward, which is what gives you the motion. Effectively, it's like, if you remember from your science classes, actually we're accelerating now, so I'm just going to put it into setup, which is a 10-second wait, and then I'll be able to apply the power. So if you remember from your science classes, you would hook a light bulb up to a motor, spin the motor, and the light would come on because it generates power. Well, what you can't tell with that scale is it also generates resistance. And so when you only scale it up to this situation here, I'm just going to apply the dynamic brakes now, balance up our speed. That's it, the accelerometer showing us more level now. When you apply the power like this, what you find is that you actually create like a slowing down effect on the train, a bit like using brakes, except this is not using brakes. So I'm not wearing anything out. You don't get any of the side effects of brakes, which aren't implemented. So someone else right at the beginning of the stream does the is there kind of like, because the more you apply friction brakes, the less effective they become over time. Effectively, now we don't have that at the moment. It's one of the things the team want to add to the physics system, but it's not in there at the moment. But in reality, that's why they would need to use other things. The other challenge you've got is that if you're using your full train brakes, because of the delay it takes to speed to apply and release, trying to find a balance to where you can just keep going at a sort of a nice speed is nigh on impossible. You're going to be speeding up too much and then stopping, and speeding up too much and stopping. Yeah. Come on, we've all done it. Yeah, this is how most of when I used to drive down hills before I was educated in the right way to descend down a gradient in an American train. Now, what you'll find is that if when you're coming down the hill, you see that you're not able to maintain, you're needing lots of dynamic brake to maintain the speed. That's when you put a notch, you put a minimum set on the train. Oh, got an Autorac train coming the other way. And you'll notice the Autorac trains have got the UP logo on them. So again, they've got these. Oh, this is a manifest actually. So that's the new box cars, the red ones. We'll take a good look at those in a bit. These are the grain cars. I don't think there's any reefers. There might be reefers at the back, but let's get box cars again, just going by here. More and more trains. It's a long old train, that one. So yeah, when you're going down a hill, if you find the dynamics aren't coping, and in this case they're coping fine, we're only on a gentle downgrade, then you put a minimum set on the whole train, and then again balance it and manage it using the dynamic brakes. I did a big old tutorial video, about 4 hours long, with PowerPoint, oh yes, showing about train brakes in Train Sim World, and I cover exactly that area of it. These are the reefers here that are on the these are refrigerated cars. And then he's got one banker on the back. So if you watch that video, I go into it in a bit more detail. Right, where are we now? We are not far from Dale Junction. Dale Junction actually has I'm going to go outside. Dale Junction's got this big mound up here. Now I talked to the art team, and apparently you should be able to walk up there. It's quite a good photo spot, and it's used quite a lot. Because it's a really, really nice space for taking photos. But you'll notice that the things are changing on this journey. We've now got a lot more rocks going on, and we're not quite in the same shaped planes that we were on before. So the route's kind of evolving as we're travelling along it, and there's this feeling of progression, which is nice. I can't remember whether the Bethgon Hopper. The Bethgon Hopper is a white coloured hopper. I don't remember if it's got the UP logo on it or not. So this is Dale Junction up here. So if I switch to that camera, up to there. So this is, quite a common photo
Oh,
spot.
that's cool.
Where you can see the train, and that's not a million miles. Draw distance does kind of hurt a little bit, even on the PC,
Yeah.
because you're trying to see miles into the distance from up here, and it's not really where the game is excelling. But you're
Does the
still
train
getting
disappear if it hits the end of the track there?
yeah. It just everything stops drawing at that point.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so you get the view, which is quite nice, I think. Railfans actually, Royal Viewer, is something that I want to be able to use. We added the character diorama system in some of the rush hour routes.
Yeah.
So one of our goals, when we get some more, when we look at it, is to be able to use the character diorama system away from stations. At the moment, they're only usable inside stations. We want to use them all over the route, and then the idea would be to plant a load of character diorama slots around a route, so that randomly you'll see railfans, but always in different places.
Oh,
Rather than it just being, there's the Bridge 42 railfan who's there every day of every night. It'll be, have a bunch of them, and they'll be different every time you go down the route. That's one thing we'd like to do, just to repeat, not on this route.
Yeah, and what are the current plans for that as well? Like, full stop.
There's nothing being done at the minute. Right, so we've got an advanced approach coming up. So we're going to be going through, I think, the Mercer Tunnel's coming up now. Back on a gentle up gradient at the moment. But we're 2.7 miles from where this particular service will be pausing. So I'm just going to ease up a little bit so that we can take in the scenery, because this is a particularly nice area of the route. And we worked with Skyhook actually, because they did a beautiful job on Cane Creek, and they've been bringing their expertise to this part of the route as well. We work with a lot of other developers to help us, and yeah, Skyhook were really awesome. I think they helped do some of these bits.
BNSF has asked, do the road crossings activate automatically?
They're not at the moment. They are supposed to.
Yeah.
And I believe it was another one of those jobs that's being done today. But as I said earlier on, take what you're seeing now as a kind of like it'll at least be this, because
Yes.
I don't want to make a promise something's fixed until I've seen it fixed.
Yeah.
You'll find out obviously in the previous stream, where things are at, but they should be. Okay, so I need to apply some power because we are going uphill, and it won't roll all of the way.
FD 10003 said, does this route have in-cab signalling?
Yes, it does. That's what this black box is on here, and in fact you can see it's showing a green aspect at the moment. But I don't know why it's showing what it's showing and so forth, so I'm not calling it out in this video, in this stream, because I'll be talking a lot of nonsense. So and I'm promising to try and talk less nonsense. So
A lot more nonsense.
I think I'm being sassed.
Never. South Main Rail fans asked, can you show the big freight yard on the map?
The big freight yard, I'm assuming you mean Cheyenne. God, this route is enormous. Right, there you go. So this is
Wow.
Cheyenne Yard. It'll have the working turntable on it as well, I believe. And then the other big freight yard is at Laramie, which is up here. Which is a bit simpler, to be honest. It's not quite the same kind of a yard as Cheyenne is. Right, we're heading into Hermosa now.
Cobus has said, are you playing Locomotive? PlayStation 5, yes.
I am indeed. This is PS5.
Ooh, tunnel.
There's no light baking in this tunnel at the moment. That was being done today.
For anybody that doesn't know what light baking is, what is it?
It makes dark tunnels dark.
Fair enough.
Well, it's all down to the fakery in the way that light is one of those things that's super expensive to actually calculate in reality or on the computer, and so there are tricks and techniques that are used to do it. And light baking effectively pre-calculates darkness, and so we do that process in tunnel areas, and then that darkness. So you can see the shadow there; that's automatically generated. But as we go into the tunnel, the train won't get darker, and it won't get dark in the cab, for example.
Okay, so is it a bit like it's just the sunlight? The sun is shining still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still light in the tunnel.
Oh, I see.
So that's the light bake that's still I believe that was happening today.
Yeah. Does the horn sound different in a tunnel?
Don't know. I don't know whether or not the reverb has been added. It doesn't sound like it.
I wouldn't know. I can't currently hear it.
You won't see. This tunnel will be pretty much pitch black by the time the light bakers happen.
Yeah.
Well,
everybody
the
can
headlights
appreciate.
lights up.
I was just going to say everyone can appreciate the detail of the tunnel now then. Marsden is narrow. It does seem narrow. The tunnel did seem really narrow.
I do like the Hermosa area. It looks really nice. There's our approach signal. Stopping shortly, 1 mile.
Is that the coast in the distance?
No, it's the distance in the distance.
It's the distance in the distance.
No, we're a very long way from the coast.
That's what I thought. Is it bluey makes it look like the coast then?
I'm going to put minimum set on the brakes and start bringing the speed down. I think essentially what the sky system does is it brings the sky down as far as distance fog, essentially, which is why it looks blue in the sort of the southern half of the sky. Speed's coming off.
Yep.
No, it's not London Midland Skybox. We're still trying to resolve the situation of when you have 100% cloud and rain and so forth. It looks odd.
Kyle FTW said, do the radiator fans move? Ooh, they do.
They do.
We're being asked about the bell. Why won't you turn it off, Matt?
Because I want you to hear the bell, and it's broken. Stop short. This is terrible.
That is shocking. Is it even going to register? I mean, I say it like I could do any better.
Just saying nothing. My glass house isn't fragile to be throwing stones, strong enough to be throwing stones.
I know.
Do you want to hear the bell, Stu? I'm sorry, I can't make it so you can hear the bell. Let's get the brakes on again. This is where we're going to spad.
I mean, yeah, there's.
All the brakes on!
All the brakes. Excellent. Uh-oh. You're gonna smash. You're actually gonna. Oh, Matt. You're going to.
Boom!
You did not.
Like I said, stopping American trains requires some practice, and I'm apparently out of practice.
That was amazing.
So before we finish up, there's a couple of things we should look at, one of which is the SD40, and we also want to look at some wagons, some freight cars. So if I jump over here, we'll show another part of the route in the next stream. We'll show you the bit from Laramie.
I can't believe you spent that long just as bad.
Well, it's the journey, it's not the destination. SD40-2. Which again, as I said, has a custom thing.
Yeah.
And it apparently too. Oh, the bell stops! Yes! Because the bell also starts when you blow the horn, so it stops. Yeah, oh, heroic. Right, let's have a look at some freight cars then, shall we?
Yes.
So, Bethgon does have the Union Pacific logo.
Cool.
It also has these yellow markings, which are, we've had so many bits of feedback from the community, the beta community, telling us how we got it wrong. So these are now, they've been through the ringer, really. I shouldn't say ringer, that's going to be a sore point. But these, they've got the yellow markers correctly on there, which are to do with how these things, because Bethgons, they've got no ability to unload them, if you'll notice. There's no unloader on them, so what they do is they literally get the wagon and turn it upside down, and the yellow marking is to do with the unloading facility.
Okay.
So we've got the Old Faithful DTGX tankers. They haven't really changed. I don't know what else we've got over here.
The chat are throwing you some shade, by the way.
Really? I can't believe that.
Gareth said, I don't believe that Nat thought Matt Spaddleston wouldn't spad. I love that.
Cheers, Gareth. Cheers, Gareth. Too bad.
Oh.
There's plenty of locos to play with here. Oh, and the other thing that's quite, well known in Cheyenne Yard, obviously, is the control tower.
Oh, that's cool.
If I could get to it.
Yeah, excellent job showing that off. Well done.
Well, I'm winning here today.
Yes, you bravo.
Let's just have a quick look here. Okay, so I've got to go around there. Let's go around there. I'm trying to find some different cars to show you.
Yeah, do.
Scoot off around here, up the drill track. And this looks like grain cars. Yeah, those are the 3-bay covered hoppers, which are different
Yeah.
colour to the sandpatch grey ones, but otherwise they're the same. More SD40s, more tankers.
Oh.
What I could do actually, if I start a manifest train, that'll have the 2 new ones, so we can look at the 2 new ones. So let me pop over to here, find a manifest. So you got ethanol trains, which are big, long, heavy, just tankers. Automotives,
Yeah.
just the
Oh,
autoracks.
there you go. There's a manifest.
Manifests are the other ones that have got a bit more of a mixture on them.
Yeah.
So let's just wander down the train.
Exploring.
Autoracks with the Union Pacific logo on there. Hello. This is the new boxcar.
Ooh.
Which I believe, just like all of the other ones.
You can open it. Cool.
Open them.
No, I like that a lot.
This is the boxcar. The grain hopper. Tank car. More
Yeah.
grain hoppers. More boxcars. More tank cars. Beth gone over there we've looked at. Looking for the refrigerated wagon, I think. That's more boxcars. Refrigerated cars.
Do the auto racks have cars in?
We'll have a look in a minute. They're supposed to. But I did see a fix for that going on today, because I know they didn't earlier on, so they might still not.
Cool.
That's the refrigerated cars.
I like that.
Or to close, really, or they'll get upset with me.
Naturally.
I've already spadded one of their trains. So I think we've covered. I think that's all of the types of car. So you've seen all of that stuff now. Is there anything else we need to look at tonight?
We're
we're going to have a look inside an auto rack, weren't we, and see if there was any cars in it.
Yeah, that's what you wanted to do. That's I reckon.
But I'm going to
that's
preface
the
that, but I suspect these may not show cars, but we'll see.
Well, what we can do is put it on the list of things to look at next time.
Yes.
The other thing I will do is, between now and the next stream, I will put up a questions thread. So if there's anything you want to see, or if there's any questions that we perhaps didn't cover tonight, we'll get that answered on the launch day stream. But so that was a pretty good preview, even if you did spad.
Well, no, it's a free spad. I know, this is a service I offer to you, is to show you that I'm proving that the red light works, yeah?
Yeah, that's very good. It's very generous of you.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
I do this so you don't have to, yeah? Oh dear, let me put the cameras back on then.
Yes.
There we are.
Hello.
Right, so yeah, just to remind everybody, you've been watching it on the PS5 today, and next week I think we'll do it on PC.
Yep.
So you get the different variety there. Any more excuses? Oh, I got loads, Gareth. I've had so much practice and experience. We'll look at the livery designer actually. Nat, if you put that down for next week, so we'll look at the livery designer, the SD70 and the livery designer next week.
Yep, absolutely.
What date is this released, Nat?
25th of November.
Which is next Thursday.
Yeah, exactly a week today.
Yeah, which is also when we're doing the next stream on this one. So
It is.
come and have a look next week, and
Yeah.
we'll have a look at that. Someone's asking about a video showing what it runs like on Gen 8. Now, I'm not going to stream it next week on Gen 8, but it might be an idea to put out a video just of what it looks like on Gen 8, so everyone knows what to expect
Yeah.
on that front.
Can't hurt.
We can pass it on
Maybe
to the team as a suggestion for sure.
at the very least, you could perhaps record some of how it works on the Gen 8 and perhaps show it during the launch day stream.
Yep. Well, actually, I've got all the setup here now. As long as I set it up, I can press a button and this just will switch over on the fly because technology always works flawlessly.
Yes, I'm sure it does. But yeah, no, it might be worth just showing it, if nothing else.
Yes, no, definitely, we definitely should. I've got a PS4 Pro and I've got an Xbox One here, so we can have a look at that. Let me see what horn this one's got. Oh. That sounds like the same horn. There isn't massive difference between the horns, but essentially the person who has got the horns recorded them in different ways. It's the same horns, but recorded them in different. I think in one instance, one of the differences was I think there was wind blowing a bit more, so it changed the way that the horns blew, and but they're going to now that they've got a setup working, they want to experiment more with impacting the way that air flows through the horns, because all a K5LL, I think it is, or K5LLA, where the horn is on this one, it's the same chords, same bells on every train, but yet they all sound subtly different, and that's because of every horn is manufactured subtly differently. They're not all digitally the same, so it's trying to capture some of those variants. Some of them might have a dent in them. Not going to suggest you dents is precious horns, but you could change the airflow through and block them a little bit, and that'll change them a little bit. So there's some really cool things that we can do, and I'm super hyped with the progress that's been made so far on the horns. It's
absolutely
really good. So again, I don't know. I haven't got a permission from the person in question to name him when I give him his thanks, but I'm giving him his thanks anyway because I really appreciate that.
You never know who might give you permission between now and next week.
Well, we're going to Adam and I are going to try and talk to him and try and maybe even try and get some photos of his setup if he's happy to
absolutely
share that, because I think it'd be interesting to see. I know I'm dead curious to see it. I love the idea that someone's going to have bought all these horns. I think that's just brilliant.
All right, well, I would say we're probably done for tonight, Matt.
I think we are.
Yeah, so like I said, we will. I'll be putting up a questions thread. So if there's anything we didn't cover tonight, again, put it in the thread. We'll do our best to answer it or show it off in next week's stream. Tomorrow is a Let's Play with Sam. So if you're in the mood for a nice chill out, fun, relaxing stream, that's tomorrow. And then next week, I'm not really sure what's going on beyond the Thursday one. But we'll share the schedule tomorrow.
There'll be things happening and they'll be awesome.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Lovely job.
I hope everybody has a lovely evening.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and we'll catch you on the next stream. Don't forget to join Sam tomorrow. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.